Hello and welcome to Product Reviews with me, Christian Baker, the founder and CEO of Profound Formulas, a dietary supplement industry insider. So today we're going to be reviewing a very famous product which has become even more so in the last few years and which has really helped pioneer a particular format of products, which we'll get to in a second. And it's currently consistently in the top 50 top selling products on the planet on Amazon, and sometimes gets as high as into the 30s and 40s. So what we're talking about is this brand here, Humann, but the product we're talking about is this, SuperBeets. They are chewable beetroot chews, but there is much more to them than just beetroot. So the little chew looks kind of like original Starburst. I don't know if you guys know those. I used to eat a lot of them in high school. They were delicious. There we go. This is a photo of what it looks like when it's unwrapped. So basically little squares. So they're not gummies. They are chews. They are more firm than gummies. Yeah, if you've had one, you know what I'm talking about. If you haven't had one, just think of it as like a square candy. All right. So as with usual product review videos, we don't spend a lot of time going through a million details on the page. What we want to do is go straight to the facts. So we have them here, and let's zoom in on what is going on with this product. So you'll notice there are some carbs, because when it comes to making gummies, chews, or whatever, you typically have to make a base. You have to spend a lot of your ingredient list sticking it together so it actually doesn't fall apart, so it doesn't get sticky, so it has a shelf life that's not terrible. And so the ingredients that you're putting inside them are actually stable as well, because not everything holds up so well in a chewable or gummy format. So you'll notice we've got tapioca syrup, which tapioca has a lot of fiber, but it also has some carbs as well. But then we have raw cane sugar. So we're using real sugar here. We're not using a sweetener, for example, although they do actually add a little bit at the end. But that makes sense in a second. I'll walk through all of these ingredients later. But first, we're going to walk through the most important part, which is the active ingredients. So the whole centerpiece of this product is they are offering you chewable beetroot, which sounds like a terrible idea at first glance because, you know, anyone who eats beets knows that it can make your teeth go pink. But in this format, is not as juicy. You know, it's you can swallow it a bit faster. You don't tend to get stained teeth everywhere as much. So core ingredient is beets. Why? Because if you have enough beets, it can positively impact your blood pressure levels, bring them down, have healthy circulation, encourage healthy levels. The thing is, though, when it comes to most studies demonstrating a blood pressure reduction or a blood pressure normalization from beets, it usually involves drinking beet juice, a lot of beet juice. So if you wanted to take it as a supplement and you don't want to have juice, you can get powders, but you're still scooping a ton of powder. So when it comes to a little thing like a chew, you're not going to fit that much in there. So there's 500 milligrams here. That's half a gram. That is not enough to get you a result here when it comes to circulation and blood pressure. But the smart thing that this brand did was add another ingredient, a grapeseed extract, a branded grapeseed extract called Enavita. It's made by an Italian company called Indina. They make a lot of really cool ingredients. So this company creates ingredients. They get raw materials, in this case, grape seeds, which they get a lot of them from the Champagne region in France. Very classy. And they do a ton of studies on them, and they try to make something out of them. So in this case, Enavita does have studies on it. You can look it up on PubMed, other sources that aren't just the company's own website. And you'll find that Enavita does help with improving circulation and helping people restore healthy blood pressure levels. So this is the thing that's doing the hard work in the product, but this is kind of like the more appealing and broadly known ingredient. So putting them two together makes a lot of sense. Interestingly, though, when you look harder at the studies from this, excuse me one second, the best results tend to come from 300 milligrams and up. So you would need to take 2 servings of this per day to get the results you want, which means you're going to end up getting 15 servings in a bag instead of 30. So you're going to need 2 bags per month. So it's a little bit, I mean, you'll get something out of 1 serving, but if you really want to hit those numbers in the study, you need to take 2. So it could be a little bit A customer might be in for a little bit of a surprise, end up having to buy double the amount of product they want to get the results. So that's a tricky one. So moving on from the key active ingredients, we go to the other ingredients. So again, these are things typically needed to stick the product together to make it work, as we said before. Tapioca syrup for stickiness and fiber, raw cane sugar for sweetness, rice bran, usually also for a combination of these two, so it adds a little bit of sweetness but also stickiness. Natural flavors, this is a tricky one because, with labeling laws in the US, you can technically use something which has like 7 different things in there, and it's considered a natural flavor. So it might have some real beetroots or some real grapes, but it also might have some potentially synthetic things. So you always have to be careful with natural flavors. Sunflower lecithin. So lecithin is a fatty substance that's found in sunflower, soy, eggs, a lot of different things. It helps things mix together. It's called an emulsifier. So basically, it's needed in here to help all the ingredients stick together so they don't fall apart. And the best and easiest way to get lecithin is from soy. And it's great quality stuff. There's almost no soy left. But again, there's a psychological impact of having soy in your label, which is often perceived as negative. So sunflower lecithin is a good choice. Sunflower oil, not a great choice. Luckily, there's not much in there. It's got a lot of omega-6. It's associated with processed food like, potato chips. But again, this is likely in there just to give it a bit more of a shine and improve the texture. Malic acid, that's a scary sounding word, but it's nothing crazy. Malic acid is found in apples. It's just a food acid. I mean, in a supplement, you're not going to crush a bunch of apples. It's typically made in a lab, but still, it's malic acid. Glycerin, this helps it make it a bit more shiny and improves the texture as well. Makes it a bit more moist, keeps the moisture in there. But again, it's not something you want to have a lot of because it can be bloaty, give you gas, maybe even send you to the bathroom. But you would have to eat a lot of chews to get enough glycerin to make you want to go to the bathroom. So even if you're doing 2 servings a day, you've got really no problems here. Citric acid, just like malic acid, it originally comes from fruits. So it makes lemons sour, for example. But again, they're not squeezing lemons here. They're getting this in a lab. And stevia leaf extract, a natural sweetener from the stevia leaf. If you put 2 sweet things together, like cane sugar and stevia, for example, it tends to work pretty well. It tends to make the product sweeter and tends to be sweeter than if you only used one of them, but reduces the chance of potential other negative effects. For example, if you only use cane sugar, you're going to spike this carb count and sugar count in your label too high. If you only use stevia, you do run the risk of having an aftertaste for some customers. Plant-based, great, gluten-free, obviously, but it's always good to label it. Made in the USA, damn right, that's great. I mean, you should be making it in the USA, but with globally sourced ingredients, that's pretty standard. That's nothing crazy. And non-GMO, that's always good to know, especially when you're dealing with something that is a crop like beetroot. And yeah, so that's it. All in all, quite good. Just be aware the serving size you should really double if you do actually have blood pressure issues and you're not just taking these for fun. But yeah, pretty great product. Hard to fault it. Love their marketing and love their recent updating of their branding. No surprise that they are such a top seller, and good job on them for also pioneering this chew category. They've really been one of the best brands in pushing it. This is just a quick breakdown. They've got a new one with chocolate flavor, which is cool, and they've got a 0 sugar version here. So they're going to replace the cane sugar with something else, which, let's see if we can find that actually. Here we go. So we're just refreshing here. Okay, nice little video there. So they've replaced the cane sugar with maltitol. I don't like that. So maltitol is a pretty stock standard ingredient used in low sugar, candies and snacks and things. And a lot of diabetics, diabetic friendly candy is maltitol. It's something called a sugar alcohol. So it's something that tastes and behaves like a sugar in one way, but is a derivative of sugar that can't be digested properly. So it passes through your gut undigested. Therefore, that's why diabetics can have it, because they're not actually getting, ingesting the sugar. And you'll see in the label here, it says sugar alcohol, which is a weird thing to see if you don't know what it is. So it's nothing crazy, and it's not actually alcohol. It's not going to get you drunk. But yeah, it's pretty bloaty and gassy. So seeing it as the first ingredient here, this one, it's doing the role of the tapioca and the cane sugar because it's very sticky. But just beware, if you are having, not just these guys, a lot of gummies and chews use it. If you do see maltitol, just be careful, because it might end up giving you gas and bloating. I personally would rather just take a few grams of carbs, especially even a few grams of sugar with the other one, than to put maltitol in my stomach. So keep that in mind. But yeah, cool company. Keep launching great products. Just launched the cholesterol lowering capsule as well. Really great education here. Using that grapeseed extract from Indina is a very nice move. So all in all, cool stuff. Good job, Humann. And I will be back with another product in the next product review series. If you have a request, feel free to send it to me in the comments or send me a message. See you in the next video.